Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hi, I'm Tanelia. In today's video, we are going to be talking about all of my green eyeshadow palettes. I don't know about you guys, but green eyeshadow is my absolute favorite shade of shadow to work with. And since St. Patrick's Day is also around the corner, in fact, I believe it is the day before St. Patrick's Day when this video will be going up, talking about my green eyeshadow palettes just seem to fit. I have a decent amount, not a ton. So we have these, and then we have a couple of smaller palettes that we're going to be talking about. I'm not going to talk about these in any particular order. I'm just going to kind of grab from the top and then just kind of make our way to the bottom. So the first palette that we're going to talk about, this is from BH Cosmetics. This is the Nude Eagle Unleashed Wild palette. This collection, I believe, was the first one that BH Cosmetics launched when they came back on the scene. I don't know if you guys know, but they did file bankruptcy, and Makeup Revolution, I think it was, Revolution London, had bought them. I wasn't sure how that was going to go and what they were going to be doing going forward. You know, if BH Cosmetics was still going to be launching their own formula or if were going to be under the umbrella of Revolution. But their website is back up and running and completely separate from Revolution, and this kind of Nude Eagle collection was one of the first new collections that I saw, and I thought this palette was so pretty. It's 6 pans. There are 3 mattes and 3 shimmers. This formula is really pretty. BH Cosmetics is one of those formulas that's affordable, yet just blends like a dream. I don't think I've really ever had an issue with the BH Cosmetics formula. I love all the tones in here. These mattes blend like a dream. These shimmers, they're creamy, they're buttery. Love this palette. On the inside, it says free to be you. This next one is from Colourpop. This is one of 3 palettes. I may just go ahead and just talk about the Colourpop palettes all together. But this one is the Just My Luck, and I have had this one for so long. This is part of that series that Colourpop did a few years ago with the monochromatic palettes, where they were launching all of these 9-pan palettes in specific, monochromatic color stories. And this one was one of the green ones that they launched. I believe they've launched 2 more other ones since. When I first got this was my favorite green eyeshadow palette of all time. These mattes blended like a dream. These shimmers so super buttery, so super creamy. This is one of the palettes that I pulled from my recent Shop My Stash. I will link that down below if you guys wanted to check that out. But I have done a look with this palette since doing that Shop My Stash, and I'm noticing that the mattes are not performing the same like they did when I first got them. Like I said, I have had this palette for a long time, so I'm really not surprised. The shimmers, though, especially this one in the middle, are still super creamy. This shade, Mary Jane, is absolutely stunning. So creamy, so wet looking on the eye. The actual tone of it is very unique to my collection. I don't have anything else like this one. What I'm thinking about doing, because I do have an empty magnetic palette, is trying to see if I can remove this shade and maybe some of the shimmers and then just go ahead and declutter the mattes, because as I said, they're just not performing the same. I love this palette when it first launched. Like I said, when I first got this was my favorite green palette of all time. The next one from Colourpop is the Star Wars Mandalorian Child palette. Oh my god, when this one launched, it was like a dream. I am a huge Star Wars fan, and I love Baby Grogu, who we have on the cover here. Before anybody knew his name, he was Baby Yoda, but we know now his name is Grogu. I thought this palette was beautiful. This color story, oh my god, these gorgeous warm tone greens. You have some neutrals in here and these shimmers, so freaking wet, so metallic. The Super Shock in the corner, that is one of the most wettest looking shades in the eyelid. It just gives your lids the super shiny sheen. So freaking beautiful. What first attracted to me to this palette is the fact that it was the child palette. It was part of the Mandalorian, but even if it was not this particular collection, I still would have bought it. If this was just a regular non-pen palette, I would have jumped on it. It's so beautiful. It's unique to my collection. Love this one. This next one, also from Colourpop. This is part of their Tinker Bell collaboration, Sprinkle a Little Magic. This one, the formula is nice, but the actual shades and color story. First of all, this is one of their bigger 9-pan palettes. They started to launch palettes with the bigger pans in them. This one is what the traditional pans look like, and as you can see, these are bigger. You may not be able to tell very well in the video, but yeah, see, you can kind of see there. The pans in here are bigger than this. They still launch this size, but they have geared more towards the bigger pans. Anyway, I digress. Back to what I was talking about. I love the shades, I love the tones, but the overall color story, as you can see, it's kind of one note. You have the greens and you have the pinks. Green and pink don't really blend together well. They kind of clash. So when you're putting together looks with this palette, you have to be careful that when you're blending, you don't blend too much or it just turns into mud. There's just not a lot that you can do with this color story. You have these two pinks that are very similar to each other. This one is slightly deep, but pretty much they look the same. And then you have the one pink shimmer. I feel like it goes with Tinkerbell perfectly, but as far as like a usable color story, there's just not a whole lot you can do with this one. The next one I have is from Essence. It's one of their 6-pan kind of monochromatic palettes. This was their monochromatic series that they launched, and I think it came out like sometime in 2022, I believe, like early 2022, maybe late 2021. You know, sometimes these dates just kind of blur in together, but this is what this one is looking like. And as you can see, some of the shades are similar to the ones in here. Some of the shades are also similar to the nude ego and the child. I mean, there is green. There's only so many shades of green that you can do. Of all the palettes that I have talked about so far, this one is my least favorite. It's okay, but it's really nothing special. These mattes don't really blend, that well. And these shimmers, they're kind of flat. They don't really pop on the eyelid. There's not a lot of shine, not a lot of wetness, not much dimension or anything going on. I love the color story, but yeah, the formula in this one, I think of all the palettes that I'm talking about today, is the least favorite. So I guess if I was ranking, this one would be at the bottom. We have 3 more palettes to talk about. This next one is from Profusion. This is the Emeralds palette. This is one of their 10 pans. One thing I have noticed about Profusion, let me know guys if you've noticed this as well, but they do have a very hit or miss eyeshadow formula, but when it comes to the ones in their 10 pan palettes, I've never had an issue. I have like 4 palettes in this format and they all blend like a dream. These mattes really buttery, these shimmers, they're very shiny. I really, really love this one, and even though it's kind of a green teal palette, you can do a pretty decent amount of looks with this palette. It is kind of versatile. It's not like one note where green is all you're doing or blue is all you're doing. You can kind of change it up. This one I had originally pulled for my Shop My Stash, but I put it back so that I could pull out that Nude Eagle one from BH Cosmetics because I realized I have played around with this one a lot, but the nude one I think I'd only used once, and that was during that try-on, so I definitely wanted to get some more use out of that one. The next one is the second palette that I pulled in here from BH Cosmetics, and this was part of their Sweet Shop collection. That was one of the best collections that BH Cosmetics has ever launched. In my opinion, it was absolutely gorgeous. I have 3 of the palettes. I think there were 6 that were launched all together. This one is the Pistachio, which of course is the green palette, and you guys, this one is stunning. I wasn't able to actually get this one in BH Cosmetics because it had sold out and I don't think it came back in stock, but I found this one at Marshall's, I believe, and this formula is gorgeous. All of the mattes blend like a dream. The mattes are on the bottom, the shimmers are on the top. These shimmers are so creamy and buttery and smooth and wet looking and glowy and glossy on the eyelid. The formula that was part of the Sweet Shop collection, you guys, it is so pretty. It's one of the prettiest formulas, one of the best formulas that BH Cosmetics has ever launched. Sadly, this particular series is discontinued, so you can't get them anymore, but should I find any of the other palettes in like, Marshall's or TJ Maxx or anything like that, I will definitely snap them up. But this is one of my favorite green palettes in my collection. It's definitely up in there, in the top 3. It's gorgeous. We have saved the best for last, even though we weren't technically doing a ranking. This one, of all of my green tone palettes that I have, is my absolute favoritist palette of all time. I love this one. It is the Ultimate Green palette. This is the earthy palette from Beauty Bay. They had launched this like series of palettes and they were kind of monochromatic, but not quite. But they had like the big palettes. These are the 42 pan palettes, and then they launched I think like 16 pans, 12 pans, and like 9 pans or something, and they were all kind of part of that particular color story. This one is the biggest that they launched in kind of that green earthy color story. I don't usually go for palettes that are like this big, but this one was just absolutely gorgeous. It has like every shade of green that I can think of is in here. all these different undertones. The shimmer formula is absolutely beautiful. I love the Beauty Bay formula in general. The Wilderness palette was my first experience with Beauty Bay, and I have not been disappointed by anything that I picked up from them. It's just so pretty. You have all the greens on the top. You have light greens, deep greens, you have cool greens, you have warmer toned greens, you have greens that are more on the neutral side, greens that are more blue. Everything you could think of is here. And then you have some neutrals on the bottom and then this little section right here. I also have the Fiery palette, which is a 9-pan that was part of the kind of reddish orange color story that they were doing. And these 4 shades are very similar to the ones that are in that palette. But this palette, if you love green eyeshadow as much as I do, this one is stunning. I don't know if it's still available. I think in general, this may have been a limited collection. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't been on the website in a while, but if you love green, like I said, as much as I do, you're a lover of green eyeshadow the way I am, definitely pick this up. I don't believe you will be disappointed at all. And that is every green eyeshadow palette that I currently have in my collection. I don't think I'm missing anything. I went through everything pretty well. You know, some other palettes do have some greens in them, but I don't consider them, you know, green color stories. Let me know, guys, down in the comments if you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see me do this with other color stories, definitely let me know. I don't know how many palettes of, you know, other color stories that I do have, but if you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more of something like this, definitely let me know. Also, be sure to give the video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. If you are new to my channel and you are not already subscribed, I would love it if you would consider joining my little family, and make sure you tap that bell so you do not miss a thing. You can also follow me on my other socials. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Be safe, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.